Well, hello everyone. Grids is playing TK hat and snare. Let's see, snare is receiving decay modulation. Hat is also receiving decay modulation. These modulations are coming from the hipster. One of its outputs, let's see, positive Z, is going into vector space. Also, vector space is receiving LFO number 2, and this decay slope from the pip slope being fired every time grid's reset goes off. And so those CVs are combining. I'm using most of them to control these VCAs in cluster, making all of the percussion voices sort of pan semi-randomly. So TK cat and snare are floating around in stereo. I'm also using the hipster directly to control this stage of the AWM. It's receiving sine wave output from the Lifeform's main oscillator. I'm doing 2 stages of wave folding. Second stage CV is coming from vector space, and then the output from the second stage going back into Lifeform's mixer through the filter. That's receiving positive Y. And let's see, negative Z is controlling filter cutoff in conduit. We've got conduit, plats, and chord mode, and the Lifeforms are all receiving pitch CV from Muxslicer. That's being clocked by a division down here and a divide and conquer. Excuse me, it's a division of this clock, which is running based on the grid's clock divided down to quarter notes. It's matching the tempo of the hi-hat. And that clock I am sending to divide and conquer. So this one, divide by 8, is triggering Muxslicer, so we get a new note every 2 bars. And the divide by 5 is triggering plats, so that the chords play in at regular intervals, but not at the same place every measure. I thought it was a little more interesting distribution. The other division of this clock is going to branches, and I'm just using the top branch, 1/2 of which is triggering Lifeform. The other half is triggering this Vectrol in the conduit, which is just low pass gating its own internal oscillator into the, it's based on a delay circuit, though it behaves more like an oscillator. Anyway, that's what's happening there. I'm using a split from Muxslicer to control the timbre, which in chord mode does chord inversions. You can raise or lower the chord voicing, and I have this inverted so that as the root note goes higher, the chord inversion goes lower. That prevents it from becoming shrill. Then I'm also using a mult of that CV, the same CV that's controlling the pitch. I'm attenuating it and using it here to control harmonics, which selects the chord type, you know, like major, minor, 7th, 9th, that kind of thing. Having all of the notes be the same chord type didn't sound right, so I messed around with it to get it to change chord types as well as the chord root and the voicing to get a more harmonious sort of sound there. And I think that's basically everything. The pitch CV, I'm multing to those three things. Oh, and then I've got key step set up down here for some melody action. And that is playing oscillator 1 of the dual parallel VCO, which is going through the MMF. I am controlling cutoff frequency of the MMF with the mod strip down here. Gate output is going into the top envelope of the descent, which I have set to release mode instead of decay mode, so it will hold as long as I hold the key. That's controlling this VCA. The output from the VCA is going into the BBD, which is in this case now because about a week ago I finally did take the Rode rig, which is this Collier case and the other spare case. Actually took it out. It was my first attempt to play the synthesizer somewhere else, just as a demo for some friends, and it was a learning experience. I need to patch faster, and I probably should treat a patch as if it were a musical composition. In other words, like you would learn a song, learn a patch, and consider the building of it to be part of the performance. That's what I need to work on. And in light of that, I realized or decided the modules in the Rode rig should be the most straightforward, like the simplest ones to use, so I could patch them up quickly and not bore the audience while I poke around. And the BBD, quite frankly, it was too complicated. And it didn't sound all that good in a live context. That was the other thing. My output mix was mono, and the BBD just sounded slushy there, as opposed to sounding interesting here in my headphones. But anyway, let me set the camera down and play this. Let's get a good view. Turn this up slightly. I'm using microburst as my reverb and other delay effect. Like the BBD is putting like a chorusy delay effect on the lead, and that's also going through here in a submix. But I have my main mix on these two inputs, and then the effect coming in on these two inputs. So for my finale, I can turn off the main, and then we just have that like space, and I can fade it out for my and that's like the end of the song. This, of course, is using the studio gear, so this wouldn't be a patch I would play live. Like I said, yeah, that's something I need to work on, and I'll probably do a video about that. Designing a patch and learning it like I would learn a song. That's what I need to do. But anyway, as usual, I have to thank my patrons who financed all of this. and encourage you to become a patron. That would be nice. I also have a Bandcamp where what I think are the best tunes wind up. And that's it. Thanks y'all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.